The Queensland Digital Ready program is funded by the Queensland Government's Department of Innovation and Tourism Industry Development and developed in consultation with the Queensland Tourism Industry Council, Tourism and Events Queensland and the regional tourism organisations.
Hello and welcome to this video tutorial about planning your online strategy. This video is part of the Queensland Digital Ready program that was rolled out in 2019. And I am Liz Ward, your presenter for this video. I'm one of the co-founders of Tourism Tribe, and the team at Tourism Tribe have been very privileged to be highly involved in the Digital Ready program in 2019, delivering many aspects of it. And I'm delighted to make this important workshop presentation to you today. So the agenda that we're covering today is all geared towards empowering you to be able to develop your own online strategy or on digital plan. Now, the reason that this one was selected as a topic to record as a video is that we meet many tourism operators who have a good level of experience now in executing their online activity. However, they say that they don't have a cohesive plan. It's difficult for them to prioritise, and time is an issue for them. So that's why we've selected this particular topic to share it with you, so that you understand the steps involved in being able to develop a digital plan. This is a really practical tutorial. We've set it up in steps, and the workbook that accompanies this is all full of these exercises for each step. So you really will be able to build out the first draft of your plan as you work through this video. And the steps are these: aligning your business with your ideal customer, analysing your ideal customers and the customer acquisition processes that they use, analysing your current online marketing activities, then pulling it all together, your current and newly identified online activities, to pull together into your online strategy. Then you prioritise the online activities that will actually make that strategy happen. And then we talk briefly about controlling, measuring and monitoring your strategy. After completing this module, you will have increased your understanding on the processes required to assess how online activities actually support your business. Identify the relevant touch points with your customers for your online strategy. Identify relevant online channels for your customer acquisition process, and how to have an integrated online strategy, how to pull all of this together into a 1 or 2 page plan, and then analyse your online activities and whether they're actually supporting your business objectives, and then with that knowledge on measurement, being able to tweak your plan. This tutorial is definitely aimed at people with an intermediate user level in terms of their experience and confidence with online marketing. So we hope that it is going to help you move to the next step and taking a more planned approach. The workbook that accompanies this video can be found at bit.ly/dr video workbooks. And we recommend that if you haven't already done so, you pause the video now and go and download that Word document. And you may like to print it out and be able to write onto it during the video presentation, or you may prefer to do that digitally in Microsoft Word. As with the other video tutorials in the Digital Ready program, it's really important to point out to listeners and viewers that we can't guarantee or warrant that this content is accurate or current, because digital and social platforms are continually changing. The other important thing here is that it's always going to be relevant to your business. So you really do need to scrutinise any examples provided to you and really think about, are they applicable to my business? And check for currency, stay up to date, and very much do your own research. Seek professional advice and also talk to your peers in the industry. So let's get started with step 1. So step 1 is about aligning your business with your ideal customer. But first of all, why do I even need an online strategy? I'm sure you've heard the saying that if you fail to plan, then you're planning to fail. And I'm sure that you agree that that's true. When we put a plan down in place, we know where we want to head to, and we also are able to then formulate the pathways or the strategies to get there. And then if we've got measures against those, we can then measure, adjust, and keep going with our goals on that plan. The other important aspects of an online strategy is it gets all of your online activities lined up with your business goals, which you may not have thought about previously. So it takes you through that thinking process. And also it makes sure that your online activities are working hand in hand with your business goals. It helps you get the most out of your digital business activities, your time, and your investment. And finally, you'll make more money because you will generate more leads and more converted sales when you have a plan that you are executing and measuring. So where do you start with all of this? Your digital strategy needs to be supported by really strong business planning. You can't just dive straight into the digital strategy part. So you need to have defined a strong business model and defined your value proposition in the marketplace. So you need to explore and document your business model. And a tool that we suggest people using, and we've used this workshopping or doing mentoring with tourism operators, is the business model canvas. And I'll show you that in a moment. We'll watch a little video about that. So how do you link your high-level planning together? So the business model supports everything in your business. And then it supports your strategic plans and your business plans. Strategic plans being your vision, where do you want to get this business to in the future? What's that long-term goals and the legacy that you're looking forward to leaving as a result of the passion and the investment that you put into the business? What's your mission? What's your core purpose? And what are your shorter term goals? Your business plan are your operational goals, your budget, your financing planning, human resources and other resources that you need in the business, and of course your marketing plan. And the business model sits underneath these. You need to have clarity on this, and it is a good idea to visit your business model and all of these plans on an annual basis. And once you've done them once, it's much easier then to review them and keep them up to date. So this business model canvas, this is a tool that is what's created under the Creative Commons law, which means that we can all access it for free. Strategyzer is the name of the company and website where you will find a template for the business model canvas, or you can simply write into a printout of the workbook that has been supplied with this video. But you can see how there are different tiles here, and it's very easy to use because you can really start anywhere in here to plot this out. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play a short video for you that shows you how to actually put this to use.
An organization's business model can be described with 9 basic building blocks: your customer segments, your value proposition for each segment, the channels to reach customers, customer relationships you establish, the revenue streams you generate, the key resources and key activities you require to create value, the key partners, and the cost structure of the business model. But it's not sufficient to just enumerate the 9 building blocks. What you really want to do is to map them out on a pre-structured canvas. This is what we call the business model canvas, a tool that helps you map, discuss, design, and invent new business models. Let's briefly go through the 9 building blocks, starting with the customer segments. These are all the people or organizations for which you're creating value. This includes simple users and paying customers. For each segment, you have a specific value proposition. These are the bundles of products and services that create value for your customers. The channels describe through which touchpoints you're interacting with customers and delivering value. The customer relationships outline the type of relationship you're establishing with your customers. The revenue streams make clear how and through which pricing mechanisms your business model is capturing value. Then you need to describe the infrastructure to create, deliver, and capture value. The key resources show which assets are indispensable in your business model. The key activities show which things you really need to be able to perform well. The key partners show who can help you leverage your business model, since you won't own all key resources yourself, nor will you perform all key activities. Then once you understand your business model's infrastructure, you'll also have an idea of its cost structure. So with the business model canvas, you can map out your entire business model in one image. This works for startup entrepreneurs just as well as for the most senior executives.
So that would have provided you with just an overview of how to use the business model canvas. And workshopping this in person with people, what we find is they can start where they're most comfortable. So they might be most comfortable in defining what the key activities are, the key services that they provide in their business. They start there. And then that will trigger off their thinking about, okay, well, what are the key resources we need to be able to deliver that? And who are our partners that we are working with to help? They could be supply partners, they could be distribution partners. We've seen people in workshops think about their cost structure. With these services, should they be reviewing their cost structure? Have they got, if they're an accommodation provider, have they defined well enough packages or different seasonal rates? What could they do with their cost structure? And then you can move around plotting out these different parts. And even if you just get 1 or 2 dot points down into each, it triggers off your thinking. And what it will reveal is opportunities to be able to extend maybe, or clarify or identify areas that you hadn't thought about before. So we recommend that you do that exercise, and it's included in the workbook in step 1 that we're going to get to in a moment. So once you're clear on all aspects of your business model canvas, you then have a clear idea of who you are as a business, because what you've done is you've clarified your source market, you've clarified your target market, you've got clarity around your product and what those different services and that real value proposition is to that target market. And then because you've done that business model canvas, you would have been thinking about, well, where do we want to take the business? So you will have also been thinking about your shorter term business goals. So all of these are required then to be able to move on with developing a really cohesive and supportive digital marketing strategy. So one of the most important aspects of defining your target market is to identify the needs of your ideal guests. You can't treat your target market as one big blob of people. In today's marketplace, people want to be treated as individuals, and they've been conditioned to this. They've been conditioned to this because of all of the personalised information that they are able to get online and through apps. Remember how well the Facebook algorithm and Google search algorithm knows us as users. We see it on different apps like Spotify, or Amazon first introduced us to this idea of suggesting really tailored content for us. So they expect to get services that are really geared towards them. They don't want to be treated just like everybody else. And if I was to ask you, who is your ideal guest or who is your target market, if you say everyone, then you're really not going to be successful in your marketing strategy in today's environment. We have to use the skills and the tools that are available to us and the channels and the technology to be able to define down, to provide content and work channels and have a strategy that works for our ideal guests. So how do we identify our ideal guests? You know who these people are, and the tool that you use to do that is defining their personas, developing personas. And what personas do is they empower you and your team to develop content, to use channels, and to deliver experiences that really do connect with your ideal customers and attract them, engage them, convert them to a sale, and then delight them. So those ideal customer personas, we're going to step through how to do that in your workbook, and you will see how easy it is, and you already know these people, and it will really help you to get a much clearer definition on them. So let's move to your workbook now and look at step 1 about aligning your business with your ideal customer. So into your planning your online strategy workbook, you'll see here at the beginning of step 1, we've got the business model canvas. Now you can download that image here with the link there, or we've just got a screenshot of it here, so you would need to actually write on it. There's also an online template that you can access, so explore what's going to be best for you. Then we want you to think about having defined your value proposition, what your key activities are. That's going to help you to be clear about what your product is, your source market, so what geographical sources are your ideal guests coming from, and who are your target markets. And what business goals do you have that really interact with those 3 elements of your plan? So before stepping into developing your online marketing strategy, it's really important that you have at least a simple marketing plan that has these things in it. So your business profile, so who you are as a business, your goals and targets are included in there. And then mapping out your source markets, which is the origins of them, your target markets, your product and your business goals, and bring it together into this table. So you can see an example business here where we've got source markets, so we've got the geographical markets, we've got the target markets. So this is where you define them by age, by demographic, by their key interest groups, whatever you're comfortable with in terms of defining something meaningful to describe those target markets. Then your products. What are your key services and products that you offer that really do connect with those target markets? So there should be good alignment between all of these aspects. Your products should suit your target markets. And then what are your short-term, say 1, 2 or 3 year business goals? And we don't want to see more than 3 business goals in this section here. So that's going to underpin all of your planning, your finance planning, HR planning, etc., moving forward in your business. So now getting closer to our customer, we've defined the target market. So that could be young families, for example. So how do we define them even further so that we can get really clear on their interests, what channels they use, what is likely to be their customer acquisition process or their path to purchase, where we can connect with them. So we develop an ideal customer persona. Here is an example where we've developed a persona, ideal guests, Judy and Daryl, and these are families with teenagers. Their persona characteristics, we're going to look at their demographics, their life stage, their likes, their pain points, how they purchase, and what social media do they use. So you can see all of that information here. Now, for you to create this, you're going to think about this particular target market, and you know these people, you interact with them in your business. And if you don't know them, you need to do some research and you need to start talking to them. And you certainly need to be recording in your bookings how they booked, and you need to be asking them how they found out about you so that you can get a good handle on what their customer acquisition process is for your business and what their path to purchase is. So we can see here the age demographics, where they're based, married with 2 teenage boys. So this talks to life stage, household income, Judy works as a full-time school teacher. Daryl is an accountant, so this is typical job roles for them. They're very busy and need a holiday that's easy for Judy to plan. They require, what are their needs? Reasonable price, but good quality, great service. Must have things for the boys to do, and they absolutely need free Wi-Fi. These are all the things that are important to them. And the reverse of those would be pain points, or they could even be showstoppers that they're not going to be interested in you. They usually go on beach holidays, but have been talking about an outback adventure for years as a family. So they don't always do the same thing. They're quite adventurous. They want to experience new things. So how does that resonate with you, and how you promote your business and your destination online, and what information you make available to them during the purchase process? And then Judy mainly uses Facebook and email. Kids are on Snapchat and Instagram. Daryl is a digital dinosaur. So you are connecting with Judy on Facebook and email. They're her preferred channels. 90% of people are using Google as part of their research. You want to be on Instagram, so when Judy tells the boys that they're coming to stay with you or doing your tour, that they can check you out on Instagram. And don't worry about Daryl, he's just coming along for the ride, though he might enjoy having a look over Judy's shoulder. So there's an example of a persona. What you need to do in your business is to develop the 3 or 4 personas that represent different people out of your couple of different target markets. Get an image, pop them up on the wall in front of people, in front of your team. Keep them in mind all the time for the creation of the best possible content that meets their needs and their interests. And also remembering what channels are the most important to them, so that as you're creating your digital marketing activity plan, you are covering off those channels and have a reasonable level of activity and content themes and types of content, and working the channels that is going to connect with them. So that's step 1 that we would like you to complete. Now, you may pause the video and do that, at least start to get a few points down, and then come back to the video and we'll move on with step 2. So let's move to step 2 now, which is where we are going to help you to define your customer acquisition process. Now, there may be more than one customer acquisition process, so you may have to define 2 and possibly even 3, because they could be quite different depending on your target markets and your personas. And if you do that, then you're opening up more opportunities to connect with your ideal customers. So you see the diagram here, and this is typical of people moving through their path to purchase, that they will go through these different stages. So in the thinking stage, so this is where they're quite aspirational. They're really dreaming about that ideal holiday and how amazing they're going to feel when they're on there. So they're thinking about this trip. And then they need to move to the planning. So they move into a search mode. Now, 90% of people include search and Google within their holiday research process. So that's why it sits out here on its own as a very important stage. Then they find you. So in that, I'm just going to move back to that search. That search, they could be searching for regions in the first case, because they're deciding on what destination. And then or they could be searching by niche activities. So they could be really interested, for example, in fly fishing or mountain bike riding or outback history. So they could be searching by a niche, which could also connect them to you. But in most cases, they will have decided on the destination, and then they move into the search for accommodation, different styles of accommodation, and things that they can do whilst in that region. Once they find you, that's when they're going to start to look for your credentials and get information about price, availability, what you offer. Now, they'll be finding you hopefully directly on Google, in social media, online travel agencies, TripAdvisor. There are all these different touch points that your ideal customer could be using. Then they're going to do their checking. So this is when they're going to do their quick analysis of your website. Does it look professional? Has it got information that's going to keep me moving through this path to purchase? So what products do you have? What prices? Do you have special online deals to book directly with you? What inclusions are there? And then they are most likely, if they haven't already done so, to jump out to TripAdvisor, to check the online reviews, or pop onto your Facebook page or Google you to see what other people are saying about your business. So that's in the checking process. Hopefully we've got them stuck with us all the way through now, and they're going to book. So we need that booking process to be really easy, and hopefully that's going to occur on your website so that you get that booking directly. You're then going to have some kind of interaction with them. Now, between finding you, checking and booking, they may also interact with you in an online chat, mightn't they? So they might go onto your website and use an online chat plugin that you have there, or they might online chat with you on Facebook Messenger, or you could have the Facebook Messenger chat widget on your website. They may also be people who love to speak to you, so they're going to pick up the phone. This is why you're going to map this typical process, because it's all these different touch points that can occur. But once they've booked, then it's a confirmation. So you're going to interact with them and confirm. You're going to send them an email to do that. And then they're going to move into that anticipation stage. So you may also SMS them or do another email just prior to a week out, or at different stages leading up to their actual staying with you or having the experience in your tour or activity or attraction, because this is a great time to interact with them and get them more excited and share more information that might extend their stay with them and help them have an even more enjoyable experience with you. And then they depart. So what is going to be the touch points that you have there that will really encourage their advocacy and get them to leave a positive review? This next diagram that I've included, it's a little planning tool or helpful tips tool, really, that we use in Tourism Tribe with our customers. And we've shared it with you in this online workshop because we think it's a good thing for you to have access to. So it just lists suggested content themes, content types, and different channels at each one of these major steps. So you can align it to what I've just been through. I'm sure it makes sense to you that number one, be inspired, is the thinking stage, and plan will take in the search and finding you stage, and then booking you is consistent with the other diagram. Then we move into the anticipate stage, then having that stay with you or that experience with you, and then sharing and advocating. So these are all suggestions of ways in which you can provide great content and channels on which are ideal to connect with your ideal customers at these different stages. And we have this included in your workbook as well, so it's easy for you to access there. So now what I'd like to do is get you to move to the workbook, and I'll head over there as well now, and we'll look at step 2, your customer acquisition processes and defining those. So step 2. So here we've got those diagrams that we've just walked through. You'll be able to blow this one up to be able to see that more easily, and you might want to copy it and put it on a landscape page and pop it up on the wall, or put it in a file. That might be helpful to you for ideas. But here's where you're going to identify your customer acquisition process, their path to purchase and their continuing path through their experience with you. So you start with what your customer wants or needs and how they might find you. So this is where we revert to your ideal customer personas. So you might have developed 3 or 4 of those. You might only have 2, and that's fine. So how might they find you? You want to include those key touch points where you and your customer interact, at the different stages in that process that they go through of thinking, searching, finding you, checking, etc. And then what you're going to do is you're going to map for each one of those stages what is a typical flow for them. And we've given you a spot here to do a second one as well. You might want to do 3 or 4 and copy that down. So what we're expecting to see is something that resembles this, but with variations in it. So this is just an example, variations in it specific to your business. So a customer thinks about planning a trip, sure, we could say that, or is prompted by word of mouth, or a friend suggests it on social media. So what would be a typical process? And this is about mapping the path to purchase, and it is good to do multiple of them. Second step, they start their searching process. So where are they doing that? They're doing that. Where do they find you? They find you in Google. They could start that process in Google, so they find you in Google. Customer analyzes your website, products, prices, goes and has a look at TripAdvisor, and they decide to book their stay on your website. So where did they book? Customer receives a confirmation email. What else have you provided to them in that anticipation stage? Customer arrives and stays. Are there any particular points of interaction that you want to map here that would be important for this customer and to really optimize the connection with you? And what can you do when customer departs? Is there some little thank you gift, some little reminder or request to leave a review for you? So go ahead and map those acquisition processes, and we'll see you back in the presentation directly. Don't forget to pause the video. Now let's move on to step 3, which is your current online marketing activities, because it's really important when you're developing a strategy to take a measure of where you are now. What are you doing now? Where are you now? Then you know where you want to get to in terms of your business goals and how your online strategy is going to support those, and then how you're going to get there, which is the crux of developing this plan. So based on the 4 main areas of activity of website, search, online marketing to drive traffic to your website, and different distribution partners that you have, what we want you to do is to list down the things that you are doing now. And as you look at these examples on this screen and then on the next, what it may do is trigger off for you some ideas about more that you could be doing. So you can see here, website, you're updating content regularly. You've got quality images and video. Video is really important in today's market. You've got a modern design, logical navigation, contact details at the top of every page, a book now button at the top of the page, social media integrated, and an e-newsletter subscription. Now you may have more than that, and that's fantastic. And you might refer to your digital engagement health check. If you registered for the Digital Ready program, there was a fairly comprehensive list there of suggestions of things to do on your website, functionality and features that are really helpful to your user. Under search, you've optimized your content. You've gone through and done an SEO review. You've got a blog post. You've got quality links coming into your website, and you have internal links. You are adding keywords into the SEO fields, and you have optimized your Google My Business listing. Online marketing, you have a monthly e-newsletter. Maybe that's right for your business and for your local industry to let them know what you're up to. Social media, you're working that, you have a plan. So you've done the Facebook and Instagram video tutorials, you've implemented some of those suggestions, and you're going well with that. You have updated your TripAdvisor listing with videos and new images, and you are responding to all reviews and really leveraging those reviews. You're copying great reviews and sharing them as testimonials on your website and out through social media. You may be doing some Google advertising, you've got that blog working for you, which is part of your online marketing, as well as optimizing your search rankings on Google, and you have an Australian Tourism Data Warehouse listing. And then who are your distribution partners, your online travel agencies who you're working with, if any? Maybe you're distributing through your local tourism organisation, visitor information centre, or your regional tourism organisation. On this screen here, we have some examples of some of the ideas that have been workshopped. So in face-to-face workshops in the Digital Ready program, these are some of the things that operators said that they were doing now as a result of having attended other Digital Ready workshops that they had implemented. So we're sharing those here with you. So you might like to pause here to take some of those in. So what I'd like to do now is go back to your workbook and let's have a look at step 3. So this is where you are going to map your current online marketing activities. So under the headings of website, search, online marketing and distributors, you're already doing this, so this is a pretty easy exercise. But I'll bet as you've been looking at some of those dot points, and maybe you paused and looked at the dot points on the presentation slide as well, then you've probably started to think about some other things that you would like to be doing. So you might like to just jot them down out to the side of the page, just not to lose them. So please just enter one activity per line in the table below. Now back into the presentation. Planning your online strategy is step 4. This is where we bring it all together. This is a really exciting bit where we start to bring it together, where we've got a definition of our customers and we've mapped what we're doing now, and we have mapped that customer acquisition process. So it all starts to join together. So if you go back to those stages of the customer acquisition process and the different things that you can be doing, that you are doing now when they're thinking of planning a trip, tying it back to there, what are some of the things that you can be doing to connect with them in that dream stage when they're thinking? So all these suggestions are here purely as examples, and they're in your workbook as well. So thinking of planning a trip, we've got some ideas here. Now, you would want to be choosing online marketing activities and social media platforms that are really relevant to your ideal customer personas. Then moving on to the next stage of search and find. It may be that a Facebook strategy is really important for your particular personas, as well as the use of domestic and international distributors. Certainly, search engine optimization is going to be important for everyone, as is Google My Business. And for some of you, it might be buying into online advertising campaigns, or Facebook or Instagram ads will amplify your reach and allow you to more easily connect with people during that search and find. And you can even use online ads and social media advertising to grow awareness, which is going to help in that previous stage of thinking of planning a trip. Then you move into the next stage, and you see how we've bundled these together, which I think works quite well, is the product checking and booking. So this is where you really need to have the most optimized booking process that you can. We want to remove any barriers. We want to only have a couple steps in online booking, and we want to optimize your website for booking. So think about things like having an online booking widget against services information. So people can jump straight there through an online booking widget on that page rather than having to go to the Book Now button and then re-find that particular service that they're looking for. So check with your online booking software provider as to whether they have widgets. Adding in testimonials, so saving people going out to TripAdvisor to get that validation from others is to integrate TripAdvisor or to copy in great testimonials, a cracker onto the homepage, and then one specific to different services on those particular pages, so that as the user's moving through your website for product checking and booking, you're keeping them interested, you're building that trust. The website might need to be in a second or third language based on your source markets, because you may have decided you're going to get serious about the China market. So you will need then a whole other dedicated China website, or it might be particular markets that you are going after, really focusing on the Italian or German market, and then you might decide to put some content into language for them to make them feel really comfortable and build that trust. Social media posts, use of testimonials again at this stage, and live video of guest testimonials as well are other suggestions you can think about. Then moving on to the next stage, receiving a confirmation email and arriving and staying. So I think this is a really exciting stage. This is where you really get to engage with them, providing the booking has come directly to you and not through an online travel agency, where you can send them an email, a confirmation, really send them helpful information, get them excited about it. You might use SMS at some stage because that market, that particular persona is really comfortable with SMS, with pre-stay information. All of this is helpful and will build trust and build a relationship with them before you even meet them. And then lastly, leaving. So what can you do to optimize the chances of them becoming a loyal customer, a repeat customer, or even just sharing a positive review about your business? So here are the suggestions there of typically what we would do. And don't forget about this in your acquisition process, repeating. So staying in touch to encourage repeat business. So make sure that you think about that as well. So what would be some things you could do to encourage that repeat business? So after they've left you, what is going to be acceptable to them? It's more than likely going to be because they started following you on social media, they've agreed to be put onto an email newsletter, VIP program for extra special deals. All of these activities are going to help to continue to have that relationship with them and stay in touch. So now what we'll do is we will move to step 4 in your workbook, and this is the good bit. This is where we bring all the work you've done already together into your strategy. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the steps that you've done in step 2, where you defined your acquisition process and your current online marketing activities, plus now you're going to be able to add the new activities that will maximize that customer acquisition process and really increase the impact that you can have at those different touch points. So we really need to get you to think about how an activity will affect those different steps, like we just did when we talked through those slides in the presentation. You can see here an example, and this has been provided really to give you some more suggestions. So we've tried to make this presentation full of little tips and suggestions that you can go, yes, that would be good for me to try, we'll do this. So this is just an example of where it's been prioritised, and you're going to get to do this in the last step is do your prioritisation, but we've included it here just so you can see once again a list of things that could be done at different stages. Why we've done that here though is for you just to think about how much time you've got and how frequently you would have to do these activities so that you can make sure that what you're developing is a realistic plan. So here are all of the examples that I just stepped through in the presentation slides. So they're right here in your workbook for you. Plus, you're going to be reflecting on your customer acquisition process and the activities that you're doing now that you put down onto the table in step 3. Now you're going to go to the table over the page and list your customer acquisition steps in the first column, e.g. thinking of planning a trip, and list the current activities you are doing now and the new activities you would like to implement. Keep in mind those source markets, target markets and personas, your products and your business goals, which should all be very clear in your head now. So this is where you're going to map out customer acquisition step, current activities and new activities. And we've seen people workshop this very successfully, getting to this point. And nobody knows your business and your customer better than you. So I have every confidence that you can do this quite readily. So pause the video and start to complete that table, please. Now we're moving to step 5. And this is the last part of formulating the strategy before we get to talking about measuring implementation and measuring the success of your strategy. This is all about prioritizing the activity that you're going to do. So remember that table I showed you just before, the example? Now you're going to create your own. So you are going to prioritize, which is incredibly important. If you don't do this step, you're more than likely not going to execute the plan. Now, what you're going to do is you'll be able to list here the different activities that you're going to do, and there might even be just one-off activities, like actions that you need to take. So you might like to add some rows to the table that are more action-based with a priority against them and the date of when you need to get them done. This is more of an activity calendar and how often you will do these things. So let's move now to step 5, prioritise your online activities in your workbook. So you've got a nice landscape page here to work in. And this is where you're going to get those online activities, so the routine that you're going to be in, how often you're going to do them, are they seasonal in nature, so you'll only be doing them leading up to school holidays or long weekends, etc. And then what's the priority? Is it high, medium, low? Number 1, with the priority relates to needs to be done within the next month, 2 within the next 6 months, 3 within the next 12 months. So this would be talking to the implementation of this activity or a particular action that you need to get done. Now that action might be in implementing a online chat widget onto your website. So that's a one-off action that you're going to do, that you mark the priority. That's going to be a number 1. It's easy to do, and get that down as an action. So pause the video here and start to populate this out, which you're going to do based on the previous work that you've already completed up here in your current activities and new activities. So now you have a pretty comprehensive plan with a cycle and prioritization for you to really get going with implementation and to get into a routine. And it's a routine of marketing activities that creates success in a marketing strategy. So I'm sure that you'll find that you will activate more and be more consistent in your online marketing activity as a result of developing that plan. Now we're moving on to the very last step, which is about controlling, measuring, and monitoring. Now, what we've suggested to you here are some key metrics that you could consider and track on a monthly basis or on a campaign basis, because unless you measure the results, you're not going to know whether what you're doing is actually supporting those business goals or not. Are you being successful? And the great thing about the online environment is you can really experiment. Now, say you don't get the growth, say, in visits to your website that you expected by running that campaign on Facebook, or doing that push onto social media with your latest blog post, and you were expecting that it was going to generate more visits to your website, then you can sit back and critically analyze that and say, well, how did I execute that? Was that content really right for my ideal customers? Did I define which of my ideal customer personas this was targeting? So you can get really targeted and really analyze the results, but you need to put this measurement in place first, and you need to select some key metrics that you are going to track on a monthly basis. My advice is to set up a spreadsheet with those metrics in it, and on a monthly basis record them. Now, to be able to do that, yes, you can go and watch the Facebook tutorial and Instagram and learn a little bit more about insights, but one of the key things you are going to have to do is to have Google Analytics set up in your website so that you can track visitation to your website, the sources of those and the pathway that they took, and did they convert, did they do a sale on your website. Without visibility of this, you are flying blind about how much business your website is converting and doing for you, and whether the online marketing activity you're investing your time and money in and your social media activity, whether it's actually converting and resulting in sales. So what we've included as the activity in step 6 of your workbook is information for you to check that Google Analytics is installed. So just head over to the workbook. I'm sure that many of you listening are familiar with Google Analytics and have it installed on your website if you are at an intermediate user level. But we still meet many, many tourism operators who know what it is, but they're just not sure. So we've just put this basic information in here for you to check whether Google Analytics is installed. And if in doubt whatsoever, then please contact your web developer and ask them to set it up for you, provide them with the email address for your business that you want connected to it, and have full user or admin access on the account. And this will be a great starting point for you to be able to start to get some tracking in place. The last point I would like to cover is on copyright. We didn't focus on content this presentation, but we know that content drives our connectivity and our impact with our ideal customers. So it's a really important part of our online strategy and our activities. So just a reminder that copyright applies online as well as offline, and if you don't have permission to use it or you don't own it, then don't use it. Don't just go and get images from Google Images, because I'm sure that 99% of the time you will, if you bother to check, you'll find that you don't have permission to use them, and ignorance of the law is no defense. And use stock images that have got the appropriate licensing on them for you to use them. But I caution you about doing that, because your original content is going to have the most impact compared to any other professional images that are shot and used by third parties. However, you might consider using the Tourism and Events Queensland image library, or your regional tourism organisation may have an image gallery, and as long as you've got the license to adapt those images and add your own flourishes and messages to them, then that's a good approach as well. But remember, your own original quality content is best. And it will convey more trust, and they will get to see the real you and the real business, as long as that quality is there to balance it out. So that completes the presentation and this video workshop. I hope that that has been useful to you. We've certainly found in a live workshop environment that people have been successful in developing that plan. But of course, should you need help with it, you have any questions on it, then don't hesitate to contact us at Tourism Tribe. We love helping businesses to formulate their digital strategy, and we're also happy to field some quick questions at the help desk at help@tourismtribe.com. Additional resources for you to access are listed here and in your workbook. And please remember that we would welcome you to join a program at tourismtribe.com and have a discount code for you if you aren't already subscribed to tourismtribe.com that you can access, which is TT First Date, which you are very welcome to use to access a discount. So now that you've finished this module, I really hope that you've increased your understanding on the processes required to assess how online activities support your business, identify relevant touch points with your customers for your online strategy, identify relevant online channels for your online customer acquisition process, how to have an integrated online strategy, so how to pull all of those activities together into one calendar or cycle plan, activity list, that it's all integrated and ties back into that customer acquisition process and your ideal customer personas and your business goals. And to analyse whether your online activities are actually supporting your business objectives. So a little bit about Google Analytics and its importance, and knowing how to make sure that that is set up for your business so that you can get started to explore that. So thank you so much for listening and watching this video presentation. We wish you every success with your business as a valued business and tourism operator in the Queensland industry. And we wish you every success with your online strategy and connecting with those incredibly valuable customers of yours. Bye for now.